started working graveyard, changed my position, and today definitely further ahead than I was 8 months ago in September when I first started campaigning. But it's definitely a pleasure to be here. Again, my name's Chris Hyepock. I'm under the Democrat ticket running for governor. There's 8 of us on the ticket. My little joke is it's Chris Hyepock and the 7 Dwarfs. No, but anyone that runs for office, it's a hard job. Everyone knows it's grueling, and your family don't like you when you get home, and it gets tough. You know, you just have to keep going, and it's motivating when you do get endorsements because you feel like your hard work's starting to show, and people are recognizing what you're doing, and definitely helps you wake up the next day and keep moving forward. But a little bit about me is I'm from the state of Texas. I moved here 14 and a half years ago. I came out here for acting and modeling. Met a girl, lost track of what I came out here for. Oh man. But we're still together today. Otherwise I blame her for everything. But she's a wonderful support. She works at Challenger School, preschool, teaching children. And we've been together 14 years, but we've been married 9 years. My kid, Kaylin, is 7 years old, my son. My daughter just turned 1 2 Saturdays ago, and we're done now. But it's blessing those 2 children. It hasn't been an easy ride in between the 2. We've had definitely a lot of medical issues, but we've overcame those, and here we are today, better today than we were 4 or 5 years ago. Grew up in Texas. I was voted most friendliest in my class. I always cared for people in general. I didn't care if you were, in the slow learning classes, if you were a popular kid, if you had low income or what. I try to be the person's friend, whoever you were. And getting that award my senior year, being the most friendliest, made me feel good as well. But that's what brings me here today, because that don't mean I have to be friendly up in Carson City when things aren't getting done in our backyard, but when it comes to my constituents and what I'm running for, it all comes from wanting it better than what we've had over the years. Had a small business for 4 years, a janitorial cleaning service. It was definitely from just me and a buddy to where we was able to start really hiring about 15 people. And my wife started having medical issues as far as miscarriages, and I needed to be home more. So I didn't renew my contract, but I continued working at the casino at that time. I worked corporate level to mid-level management in the casinos from Harrah's, Excalibur, the Palms, the Cannery. Now I'm at the JW Marriott Rampart Casino next to the Suncoast. I have a 4-year degree in journalism. I want to write about politics. I figured I'd try to fix it first, make it a little easier. But about 10 years ago, I took a political science class at CSN, and my professor, Poplowski, was really intrigued me into getting involved. Not really telling me, hey, you need to run for office, but he was so intelligent when it came to the processes of government, and he just knew everything in the back of his head without looking at anything. I was like, wow, I'd like to know that, instead of reading the conspiracy emails that I get every morning or whatever that I read or see on the news. So I started investigating things myself, and I realized the system is definitely broken. Rose-colored goggles don't help. Sooner or later, those rose-colored goggles just get foggy. But 3.5 years ago, I decided to run for this office, this particular office. I've seen all the bad statistics that go on in the state. Top of every bad category, bottom of every good category. And that did not happen overnight. That's just years of bad management from our top. And it didn't, I'm saying 16, maybe 20 years here in the state, that the recognition of wanting to bring jobs here, to keep jobs here, to really keep that whole business-friendly tax rate where it's at, is still there, but we're still not getting jobs. And I look at our education system, and our children are not getting the education that they need, and I'm trying to look at where the problem lies there, and start looking at our economy, and I look at our general just welfare of ourselves. And I realized, you know what, running for city council can't bring jobs here. Running for city council can't help our education system. So started doing my homework, and 8 months ago I decided to throw my hat in the ring, and I had a 0 chance back then, and right now I have a 12% lead in my race, and that just shows me running this whole state 4 times already, and just going to everywhere. I've been to Hindu churches, wearing turbans on my head to go into the temple, and I've been to this loud New Year's party, and they're squirting water on me and putting white powder on my face, and hey, I'm all for it. You know, learning these different cultures and traditions has been such a fantastic ride. When it comes to education, I looked at where we're failing is our early childhood education. There's 70% of our kids don't go to preschool. Kindergarten's not mandatory out here. There's only a handful of all-day kindergarten. 4th grade, 75% of our kids are not reading proficiently. And I look at we're the #1 dropout rate in the nation. We're not losing them in high school, ladies and gentlemen. We're losing them in 4th grade. By the time they hit middle school, they lose their interest because they're playing catch-up. They lose their confidence. They hear everything around them that our education system's ranked 50. You know, used to we could say, thank goodness for Mississippi, but we can't say that no more. So that's where the focus needs to be. Really childhood education. We need to make kindergarten more mandatory out here. We need to make sure our kids can get to preschool. But then you look at our economy. Over the last 4 years, our family income, actually 5 years, our family income has decreased 6.5%. Meanwhile, look at Utah. Over the last 4 years, they have Boeing expanded their eBay, Adobe software, Goldman Sachs. I think we have a Harley Davidson down the street out of the 4 years. Where's our management at? Where's our cheerleading governor and lieutenant governor at to really bring these jobs here? And then I look at our statistics. Say we're D- in integrity state, we're D in spending transparency, we're not fiscally responsible, we barely balance a budget every session, and we just don't manage tax dollars fairly. That alone, we could have the best state structure, tax, for businesses all day long, but if these businesses aren't coming here still with the things that we offer, we have to look at really what's the big picture. We've had bad management, and they see that. They see inconsistent government in Carson City. And it's not, say, this party versus this party, just we need someone here to put politics aside, do exactly what we get elected to do. Both parties, at one time or another, has lost focus of what they get elected to do. And that's to put the people first. And that's what I'm trying to do. The common sense approach. We've tried the political ways, but it's not getting the job done out here. So then I see our immigration system. It's broken. But as a state, what can we do? Over the last 3 months, after Rosemary Flores has jumped on to my campaign, she's introduced me to so much in the Latino community. It's easy to watch Fox or CNN or MSNBC or read emails or read the newspaper and say you know exactly what's going on, but until you put yourself in these individuals' shoes, you really don't. I've been in prisons where children are not able to hug their fathers or their mothers or their grandparents because they've been on their way to be deported. So they're talking to them over the phone through a TV screen to see their parents on the other side, and it was heartbreaking seeing those things. Then I see that Jacobo Garcia, a week before he passed away, had such a tradition with a dancing team out here, and we went to visit him, and he was paralyzed half of his body, but he still tried to get out of bed, and because he says he has to go to work, because he knows how hard work it takes to survive in this world, and he still wanted to provide for his family, and had Rosemary translate for him. I says, hey, tell your kid, or tell him that there are good politicians out there these days that do want better. Let him know that his grandkids, his children, are going to have a better life than what he had. Be easier for them through the transitions that's going to be taking forward over the next several years. A week later, he passed away. On my own, I just went to his house to visit the family. I didn't go there for political reasons. I went there because that's who I am. I don't want to be the average politician. I just want to be someone that shows that I'm the person's choice, that I'm just someone that, if you're in the hospital, I want to come visit you. I'm sorry, but why do we have to go with the status quo all the time? It's not about that. You're the face of the state. You're there for everybody, and that's what I try to do. So in this process, I've seen people be expelled from hospitals sooner than they should because they're undocumented, they don't have insurance, and now they got 2 months to live. There's 2 individuals right now that we visited that Salvadorians, and is where they came from, El Salvador, and just seeing that and just hearing their disappointment and knowing that they got 2 months to live and the hospital's kicking them out. And then I look at our children. Children should always be taken care of. Our senior citizens should always be taken care of. And so I started looking at the state, what can we do better for our immigration situation? It's not just Latinos. Everyone wants to say us the Latinos, but over the last decade, the Asian community has increased more than any other population, not just in the state, but nationwide. So there's more to that. Then you have the LGBTQ community that are fleeing here from other countries, that countries are not respecting the fact that they want the same gender relationships. So then we have that to look at now. So as a state, we're the 6th slowest state in the nation in processing paperwork when it comes to work card visas, student visas, whether it's resident cards. And I'm wondering what can we do there. We're also the last in the nation when it comes to processing veteran benefits, processing their paperwork. The backlog is a mile long. So I look at that we don't have enough jobs in those areas to really do these community outreaches to make sure these paperworks are being filed correctly. Instead, they're going to immigration lawyers, they're going to notaries, and notaries are taking advantage of the process. This one individual paid $5,000 for her son, and then the paperwork wasn't submitted correctly, so he was denied. So now, all that $5,000 is to waste, and the immigration lawyer should have known the proper paperwork to submit before submitting it. So all these people are getting false hopes, the DREAM Act or whatever is not happening. So I look at this state, I say, what if we do community outreaches every 4 months as a state, and we help educate, because worst thing that happens is people are uneducated on the processes, and they get confused, and people give them false hopes, and then they waste their money, and they in the same situation as they were 4 months ago when they first started the process. If we do these community outreaches, we can show that they're being processed, that these documentations are correct, they don't have their birth certificates. We can have a program or hire an outside agency to help find their birth certificates, to help put them on the same page. That way, when these driving privilege cards come out, that really ended up not working like the legislature wanted it to be, it becomes a bullseye. Now they're being pulled over, they're not only being asked to show their driving privilege cards, they're being asked to show their social security card right behind it. Then they're being told to pull over, and they're being arrested, and they're going to Henderson or Pahrump, and they don't tell their family for a day or two that they're being deported. And middle of the night, they wake up 2, 3 in the morning, and they move location, and they don't tell their families for another week. So I feel like as a state, we could maybe hand out these these cards to show that they're being processed, and maybe these cards could keep them from being deported, because at the end of the day, no one wants their families torn apart. We don't have to agree on the reason why we're in this situation. 30 years, the government's turned their head to the problem, and here we are today being forced to do immigration reform. But it's the right thing to do now, and that's what I'm all about. I look at our uneducated or undocumented children. I feel like as a state, we can do a program and help get health care for our children, undocumented or seniors or in those areas. I also see that our education system, I think 17 million were wanting to go toward English learning classes last session, but it ended up being pushed with Mo Dennis and Ruben Human to $50 million. But to really get it done, it takes about $350,000 to $400 million to really get the English learning classes generated in the state, to really make it work. But then we're the last state in federal funding for after-school programs. So I look at where we've been in this area. So I feel like as candidates, as elected officials, we all work for ourselves, whether you're federally, statewide, and I feel like at the end of the day, if you're Congress or you're senator, you still represent the state, and we need to work more together to help in these areas and help fund our after-school programs so we can offer our children after-school programs, whether it's learning a new language, whether it's to learn a new instrument, whether it's to learn art. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm just a guy that loves the state, and I don't see it getting anywhere like the same type of individuals. Doing the same thing, hoping for different results, is not getting the job done. I think Albert Einstein says that's insanity. It is time to put politics aside and do exactly what we get elected to do. And that's why I'm running. And that's the message that I send to people. Please go to my website. It's chrishyepock.com. If you want to Google my name, Chris Hyepock, you can read more about me. You can see videos. I just released my first commercial, hoping that it'll be on TV by this weekend. And it's just the typical. It's not me flashing anybody. It's just me saying who I am. And here's the problems. And ladies and gentlemen, all I want to do is do the job we get elected to do and put politics aside. I am a Democrat. June 10th is the primary election. I need your help to push forward. I need your help to make Nevada better. And it's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us to get out there and say, you know what, let's go a little different than what we're used to. And let's get this done, because this guy's been sincere. He just wants to do a good job. If you agree, June 10th, don't forget who I am. Please call 10 of your friends for me. Say, hey, this is this guy. Tell them to call 10 more friends. But anyways, God bless you, and thank you for coming this morning. And thank you for hearing me babble. And I'll see you on the campaign trail, and God bless you all. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for Chris? Yeah. You know, he covered a lot of ground, so you know. Anybody?
Fernando,
Yes, sir.
is this the first time that you are running for the first time?
It is the first time I'm running.
Why are you running for governor? I mean, why would you think that you are qualified to be governor when you have never run for anything else?
Well,
Or be elected? Wait a minute.
Well, look at the Constitution. It says you have to be here for 2 years, you have to be over 25 years old, and you have to be elector. I'm all three of those areas. I think my small business background, I think my 14 years in management in casinos, my pretty much management in where I've been, whether it's IHOP or Cigna Healthcare or Walmart or wherever I've worked, I've always moved up pretty quickly. And I think we've had no disrespect to the judges or the attorneys, but we've had the attorneys in Carson City as governors. We've had the experience as governors. Look where we are statistically. If you want to look, we're number one in women deaths by men and domestic violence. We've improved a little bit in that area, but for 5 years we've been pretty much in the top 5 states in that area. Look at our education system. Look at our economy. Where's our jobs at? That guy's supposed to have the experience. He's not bringing jobs here. Where is he at? He doesn't even show up to his communities. I mean, he's hidden from the issues. We need a governor that wants to balance the budget, wants to create a surplus, wants to make a marketable government for these jobs to come here. It's not about if you're more qualified than the guy next to you. It's about, is this guy going to do a better job? And if you think that Sandoval and the person before him and vice versa is doing the job, then we're just going to be in the same situation 4 years from now, 8 years from now. And that's why I feel like I'm qualified, because these small cabinets aren't going to be a marketable target for businesses to come here, to create jobs. You know, one of my logos is build here, buy here, and hire here. When we have a governor that says, hey, stop sending all of our money out of state. We'll never be below 7.5% in unemployment if we don't keep money in-house. And that's where I'm trying to target. That means construction companies. If you're a Nevada business, if you're a union business, I don't care if you charge a little more. If you're a Nevada business, I will hire you instead of an outside source, because you will buy your lumber from our lumber stores here in the state. We can circulate the money and help bring more revenue to the state. And that's what you can do when you're not playing politics.
we have another question for Chris? No question? Thank you very much. Chris, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you. One round of applause, please, for. Again, I really appreciate your attendance here, and just let me mention a number of individuals who have joined us this morning. Before I do, there's a very important meeting. Chris has been talking about education and money that is needed and programs that are needed. There is a program this morning, testimony, that's going on at the State Building, will be going on at the State Building right after our meeting at 9 o'clock. So, Jose, would you please tell us a little bit about what's going on?
So the issue of education and English language learners, we have 44% of our students in Clark County are Latino, and about 1 in 6 Latinos are ELL students. That means they don't know the language well enough to do well academically. Across every state in the country, we're only one of 3 states who do not provide extra funding to help these students learn and acquire English language. And so now there's a big push ahead of time on the funding committee to increase funding for ELL students. Now there was $50 million last time, but that's a drop in the bucket compared to the number of students that require extra help to get to where they can do well educationally. So there's a meeting this morning at 9 o'clock. It starts at 9. It'll probably go at least 3 hours, and we need input to say that the state should increase the funding to ELL students. And so we're proposing, and there's a group of us that are proposing that the weighted formula be like 1.7 to 1.9, so that we get extra funds, we get teachers, we get resources to help our students learn the English language and perform well educationally. So a series of meetings this morning is important. We need public input. And so this is an issue that won't go away. It's almost like when I was growing up, I didn't know I was poor until I got older. I was poor. And so our state doesn't really know that we're not serving the Latino student. We're not serving those students who do not speak English. We're not providing the services that's required by law, that are provided by other states. So it's a wake-up call to our state, and we as a community need to stand up and say, yes, it's about time that we do extra funding so that we can give our students the opportunity to perform well education.
Thank you, Jose. Thank you very much. Chris was saying that really it has been, the studies do say that we need at least $350 million to take care of that problem. And right now, 50 million is just not cutting it. So anyway, after this meeting, we're having a caravan. Let me introduce a couple of individuals that have joined us this morning. Otto Merida, who is the CEO of the Latin Chamber of Commerce. Joe Hardy Jr., who is candidate for District Court Judge, Department 24, had to leave. He was here. He didn't get the endorsement. I repeat, he was here. And a lot of individuals who did not get the endorsement are here. A lot of people who got it are not. So what's wrong with this picture? But anyway, please relate that to the guys that did get the endorsement, because that is only the primary we're talking about. Okay, so and as our ballot read, it's only the primary. The endorsement is specifically and exclusively for the primary. There is a general election coming up, Jacob, after. So let's let's pass that word along. Susan Johnson, Susan's still the judge? But she was here. So anyway, she did get our endorsement. District Court Judge, Department 22. Kathleen Gissy, who is the president of the Grassroots Tea Party of Southern Nevada, he's here. And she got the endorsement too. Her husband Art is also also here with us, and I wonder who they're rooting for Lieutenant Governor. Maricruz Rosales, who is with the Federation of the People of Hidalgo, Mexico. Maricruz is here with us. Romeo Perez, is he still here? There he is. Department, is that S? J. J, sorry. There's penmanship classes going on later. Gracias, and another luck to you, Romeo. You didn't get one of them?
No.
Okay, I will send you one. I'm
So
sure.
because we will put it in our website and also send it.
Oh, thank you. Great, marvelous. Thank you. I'll send it to you as soon as I get back to my computer. Thank you. Sanjay Sedera got our endorsement. Candidate Assembly Jesus Marquez, he's the only Republican on the ticket for the He didn't get the endorsement because he's the only guy running it. That's endorsement enough.
For the general.
No, Alejandro, you didn't get your endorsement.
No, listen, just one second. Look, I'm Alejandro Alvarez. I've been here since before creation. And I pray with this man right here, Jay Hatcher, okay? And I just wanted to say he didn't get an endorsement, but he has mine because he's a spiritual, moralistic person that prays Orthodox Jewry.
And again, that man happens to be Jacob Hatcher, okay? So tattoo that on your arm. Susan Bush got our endorsement, candidate for district president. Thank you. Monty Levy, she's here with us. From the board of we'll remember. Lucero Gomez Ochoa, she is here representing Senator Dean Heller.
All right.
Richard Scotty, District Court Department. Robert Kurth, Family Court Judge, Department D. is here with us. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dr. Stephen Taylor, I think he left, but he's running.
No, I'm back here.
Oh, you're back. It says I couldn't see you. You're so tiny, you know.
They didn't see me for that endorsement either.
But we remember that you're here. Okay, so he's running for Assembly District 7. And also, well, let me see, Jose Solorio, you heard from Jose Solorio. Jose is the president of the Political Advancement of Latinos organization, PALO. Gracias, Jose, for being here. Say hello to a good friend for many years, Andres Mendoza, who is also the state director of LULEC. Gracias. And Andres has a radio program in Spanish on Mondays, is it?
Mondays. Yes.
Mondays at 3 from 3 to 5, right?
Yes, sir.
And remember, mine's Wednesday from 3 to 5.
Sorry about that, Jesus. Yes, Jesus is also on the radio, same at 13:40 a.m. From 3 to 5. And so, welcome both gentlemen. Johnny Pecayo, who is the publisher of the Manila U.S. Times. Thank you, Johnny, for being here. Steve Yoder got an endorsement, Assembly District 9. John Cahill, the man that I would die for, right there. John Cahill, public administrator. There's nobody else running for public administrator as far as we're concerned. Johnny's got it. Say hello to Craig Friedberg, sorry, Craig. District Court Judge. And also another person who unfortunately did not get the endorsement. She is here. We love her. Marcia Kimball Sims is with us.